Thanks guys for joining in. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for the hearts. I always appreciate hearts. You know I have a love for hearts. You know, I was going to try to do this. I've got my computer set up in here as well. I was going to try to do a live on Facebook, which I've never done before, and I'm having issues. I can't get it. I don't get the blue go live button, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong over there. So we're just going to do this on Instagram today, as I originally planned to do. So I'm all good with that. Hope you guys are having a good Friday. I'm in California, so let me know where you're from as well. It is absolutely gorgeous here in California. We are experiencing kind of like summertime weather. Yesterday, I think it was like in the upper 70s, and it was just perfect. I love the summertime. I am a hot weather kind of gal, and I absolutely love it when it's really hot. Like the 90s is perfect for me because I am always cold. During the winter months, I am wearing so many layers. But today I just got my fun t-shirt on, and so the weather has definitely warmed up quite a bit. So yeah, let me know where you guys are from, and I'm going to put my glasses on so I can read some of the comments on here. So I've got a whole list. Thank you if you submitted questions. Thank you. I've put them all together, kind of grouped some of the questions together so that hopefully I can get through all of them. I think we have a 1-hour limit on live, so I will start chatting here in a couple of minutes. We're just going to wait for a few more people to join in, and then this will be available for 24 hours afterwards on Instagram Live. And then at the same time, you guys can't see this, but I've got another camera going, and that is my regular camera. So I am recording this, and I might put it up to my YouTube channel so that folks can still watch it after the 24 hours if they'd like. So, all right, and I'm still working on my coffee, so I'm almost done with that. And I hope you guys are doing okay with the quarantine happening across the entire world. I know some areas in the States are starting to allow people to go back to kind of what I'm calling, of course, a lot of people are calling a new normal. And I'm kind of looking forward to that too. And just kind of getting out there, not feeling like, you know, I'm really restricted about going out and doing stuff. Like today, I have to go pick up my taxes. Good times, right? So I've got to, after I'm done here, I'm going to leave, and my tax person is working from home. So I'm going to just go over there and pick up my taxes and get that taken care of. So, you know, everything still goes on, the world continues. Okay, so thank you again for joining in. Let me just scroll through here. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of comments. What's the topic? All kinds of questions that came in are the topic. Houston, Ireland, Argentina. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys. We've got Florida, Vienna. Fabulous. Oh, this is so wonderful. You know, I didn't even see all these comments come in. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to just scroll through really quick. Pakistan, thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. Thank you, thank you. All right, we've got France in the house as well. I love it. Okay, let me scroll down to the bottom now. Whoops, hang on. Let me get back in here. Okay, we've got Turkey, UK, Michigan, yay. California, thank you for being here. And Greece, oh my goodness, wow. I love that you guys are tuning in from all over the place. All right, so I am in my garage studio at home because that's where I get my best internet connection. So you can see this is where I used to paint all the time. I haven't painted on this wall for almost a year. It's only been since last October that I got my studio in downtown San Jose. So hello from the Netherlands and Virginia and Ohio and India. Thank you. All right, so thank you again. If you submitted questions, I typed them all up. I put them all in one place for me to be able to read through them and then start answering questions. So let's get started. All right, so the first one, and I didn't do these in any particular order. I didn't get that nitty-gritty about it. So the first question here is, how did you find your own style when it comes to painting? And then also along with that, that was from Kelsey, and along with that, Anita asked me how long did it take to figure out my style. So I know this is a really big question for a lot of people. I know that, and I know that because for me it was, for years I was trying to figure out, you know, I kept hearing you got to figure out your style, you got to figure out, you know, why you create, why is it that you create what you do, what is it that you're drawn to, what is your passion. And I'm going to tell you honestly, so for those of you who don't know, I started painting right just before I turned 50. I was doing mixed media art first, fell madly in love with mixed media, and then I started working larger, but I was doing kind of, and I'm answering one of the questions that's down further, but that is the type of work that I was doing before I'm doing what I'm doing today. And what I used to do is kind of whimsical art because I'm not professionally trained and I don't do realism whatsoever. I'm just cannot do those proportions and all that. But I was doing kind of whimsical flowers and birds and houses and stuff like that. And that was a lot of fun, you know. It was all kind of part of my process to get to where I am today. So I can't look back at that and say, oh my God, that was just horrible. Because if I didn't do all that, I wouldn't be where I am today. So it's really important to remember that wherever you are today is just one step in your journey. And keep doing those things. Even though you don't know where you're headed, you don't know maybe what your style is, just keep creating every day. And that's what I was doing. I just remember so many days where I would be in my studio and I would be thinking to myself, I have no idea what my style is. You know, I need to figure out my style. And then once all that negative talk went through my head, I'd put that aside and I would just do whatever I was going to do that day. So looking back now, I can say, you know, I spent that time creating every day, doing whatever it is I was able to do so that I could get to where I am today. And today is just also another step in my journey, right? It's not the end. I haven't crossed any kind of finish line because art is a journey and you're constantly developing and growing and learning. So so in terms of my own style, I came into this particular style that I have now. Here's one of my little postcards. I came into this style really by accident. I was visiting my parents in Croatia, which is where they live, and I brought all my paints with me and I was outside painting out on the patio, and I remember saying to myself, Betty, just, you know, you're on vacation, just loosen up and do whatever is going to come to you. Just go for it. So I wasn't thinking, because at that point I was already doing abstract work, but it wasn't, I didn't figure out my abstract style yet. So I was creating on paper, which was really 11 by 14. So this size paper on that particular trip. Ever since then, I've been working on 9 by 12s, which I really like. And I created these pieces that were very loose and free, and I absolutely loved them. Well, let me go back just a little bit. So I was there in the spring, and in the springtime on the island, flowers are in bloom everywhere. They're wildflowers, and when my mom and I go for walks through the village or up over on the other side of where they live is kind of, I wouldn't say it's a mountain, but kind of hilly, and there's a lot of trees and a lot of gardens back there that used to be for potatoes and stuff like that, that people from the village have their plots of land back there, and also a lot of olive trees. But anyway, so we would go for walks and we would pick all these flowers. My mom would make these wonderful little bouquets, and we'd come home and there would be these little bouquets all over the house. And it was like a week or two later that I looked back at my paintings and I said, that's what I'm painting. I'm painting these wildflowers. I'm painting these fields of flowers. And then really, I didn't think too much about it at that point. I just kept creating. And it really wasn't until months later that I figured out that's really what my passion is, what my love is, because I absolutely love flowers. I love seeing a whole field of flowers. I love bouquets of flowers. I just love flowers. So I have my mom to thank for that. She helped me get to that, to help me realize that that was my style, and that's what I was painting. So it took me years to figure that out, because I started doing abstract painting in the summer of 2015. So it took me a few years of painting different types of abstract styles to finally figure out. So what I'm saying to you is, please, 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 just continue down your path, whatever path you're on right now, and just know that every little thing that you learn now, you're going to be able to apply that. And your style, maybe you're not going to find it, but it's going to find you, because you keep showing up and you keep doing the work and you keep creating, and eventually those things all start to come together for you. Okay, so, and I know there's a lot of comments coming in, and I apologize, because I'm going to go through here and then I'll flip back through and see if I can answer some of those. Okay, so the next one from Greywind was to describe a journey of finding my style. So I think I just talked about that, and the styles that I explored along the way. So again, it was the doing mixed media work, it was doing the whimsical work, doing abstract, and trying to figure out my abstract style. Okay, this one says, I'm trying to be more loose and abstract with my art. Are there some things I can do to achieve this? So one of the things that I really like to do to stay loose and stay relaxed, actually a couple of things. One of them is mark making. I love mark making, and that goes back to my mixed media days. And that's what I mean by, you know, I don't do mixed media work today, but I take my love for mark making from those early days and I apply it to my work today. So loosening up, I always like to, if you've seen my videos on YouTube, you know that I start with just making marks on paper. So, or on the paper or the canvas that I'm working on. So loosening up that way. And then the other thing I really like to do is, we have this thing about, you know, you've got your right brain, your left brain. Your right brain being the more creative side, your left brain being more the analytical side. The left brain is also very judgmental. And so I have found that, you know, when I'm creating, my left brain is nonstop. And you guys, I know you guys go through this too. Your left brain is nonstop talking to you, and it's not always saying good things, right? It's saying, well, why'd you do that? Why'd you put down that mark? Why did you use that color? Why did you mix those? Why did you cover that up? Why did you redo that section? So there's always that negative stream of talk happening. And it's so hard to program our brain to be positive. But so one of the things that I found is I have a hard time reprogramming my brain, but what I can do is I put on a podcast, or I listen to a book on audio, or, you know, early on I used to, when I was trying to start off my business, is I would have my laptop next to me and I would run YouTube videos on how to run an art business, or I'd watch anything I can find on the YouTube. So that would be constantly running in the background. And I was creating, and I wasn't even taking notes, but that stuff was subconsciously going into my head, and I was constantly thinking about those things, so that I wasn't thinking about what I was creating, which freed up that side of my brain to not be judgmental and allowed me to just create. So if you're having a hard time with, you know, that side of your brain that's talking to you too much and not saying good things, try putting on a podcast. There's a lot of great podcasts out there that are all around art. And so I love to do that. YouTube's a great place. And again, there's lots of audiobooks out there too. So give that a try. All right, let's see. Next one is, what steps have you taken to make your art supplies more environmentally friendly? That was by Nicholas. All right, so Nicholas, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't taken any steps. I use acrylic paints, and I know those are not environmentally friendly. So I really haven't. I love using acrylic paint, so to be honest with you, I don't think I'm ready to change to something else. You know, the other things that I use are a whole variety of different mark making tools. Some are water soluble, so some are not. But to be honest with you, I haven't taken steps. I would say the only step I've taken is like the plastic on my wall has been there for several years now, 3 years. So I don't like to throw plastic out. So the one that's on the wall, the one here on my table, I like to leave on there unless I'm doing a recording for everyone. I have to put out a clean sheet so that you guys don't, so that all my paint that has piled up doesn't confuse you. But other than that, I will reuse plastic over and over again. I save them to reuse them. All right, next question is, and so I answered this one. Do you listen to music while you paint, or TV or books? And that was by Lee. So I talked about podcasts. I love podcasts, but sometimes I'm not in the mood to listen to anybody talking to me. So I will put on music, and on occasion I do like to just listen to music. All right, what is the process of deciding the price of a painting? So, wow, that's like a whole big topic to talk about. So for me, what I did years ago when I first started selling my art is I created an Excel spreadsheet, and I put on there the most common sizes that I create, both on canvas and on paper. And then I, you know, put in formulas. Fortunately for me, I have a background in customer service management, and I worked on a ton of spreadsheets. So that experience that I bring from my professional career working in corporate America has helped me with my art career as well. And so I created this spreadsheet where I figured out you know, the dimensions, the square inches, how many square inches in a, you know, 8 by 8, a 10 by 10, a 20 by 20. And then I put in a dollar amount that I thought was appropriate. And I did some research, and I looked at other artists that were kind of at the same place that I was, creating similar stuff, and I was looking at their pricing versus mine. And that's how I started figuring out my pricing. And so I've got this full spreadsheet, and so I've taken the emotional side out of pricing, so by creating the spreadsheet, because really when you create art and somebody wants to buy it, it becomes so emotional, and putting a price on it becomes so difficult, and it really paralyzes so many artists, because now you got to go from being really creative to thinking about, okay, the business side of running my art business, and what am I going to charge for this? And now it's suddenly it's a hard shift for a lot of people. So what I found was, when I created the spreadsheet, I just go to my spreadsheet and I go look at the line item and say, yep, that's the price. I even add a separate pricing for commissions. So I do my base price plus 25% for commissions. So that's all in there as well, all laid out, so that all I have to do is go and look up that particular size and look up the price and quote it. I don't think about it. I don't say, and I used to do this, but I don't say, oh my God, is that too much? Is it too little? It is what it is, and I just put it out there. And once I started doing that on a regular basis, it made it so much easier to talk about pricing and to be able to just put it out there. And as you guys know, if you're following me, you know I freely put out my prices. There's no hidden agenda. I don't, sometimes I feel like when, and I totally respect that some artists don't want to put their price out there, and I totally get that. But one of the things that I think about is, if you're not putting your pricing out there and I ask for pricing, are you changing the price based on who's asking? So I don't want anybody to ever feel that when they come to me and they love a piece, that I would adjust the price in any way. The price is what it is, unless I'm having a discount, and you're definitely going to get the discounted price. So that's those are my feelings around pricing, and that is how I keep my pricing all organized. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's see. How do you know when you're done with a painting? So this is a question that comes up often, and really it really comes down to it's a gut feeling. It's years of experience and creating art, and you just start learning. You get to a point where you know you're done. Now, some of the things that I look for when I'm working towards the end of a painting is first of all, how does it make me feel? Am I really happy about it? I'm looking at my values. So do I have some really light areas? Do I have some really dark areas? I'm looking at my mark making. Do I have enough mark making? Do I have large, bold marks versus small, dainty marks? Or do I have, you know, enough variation in sizes? So everything from really large to smaller. So I guess this would be an example here. So I've got these larger circles that are kind of more the focal point. I've got a light area. I've got dark and dark up here and some dark down here. So I'm balancing out those things. I'm looking at my colors as well. Are they balancing? Are they coming? Does your eye move through the painting? Out and off the painting as well. All of my paintings go to their edges, so I'm always looking for the viewer's eye to be able to come in and leave and come back in and move around. So so those are some of the things that I look for when I'm working towards the end of a painting. And then my final step is my mark making. So I start with mark making. In the middle I do some mark making, and at the very end I definitely do some mark making that doesn't get covered up. So I'm finalizing it with those touches, and even in that process I get to a point where I say, okay, I've got enough mark making on here. I feel great about it, and I'm in love with it. So that's important to me. All right, next question is, were you always creative and artistic? How about when you were a kid? And she says, love your art, and that was Tess. Thanks, Tess. Okay, so was I always creative? I think I was always creative in some way. I do remember that I loved coloring, so that's not being creative, right? That's like, I used to outline everything perfectly and shade it in. My mom taught me how to, hold on. Okay, sorry, the video paused for a moment. So my mom taught me how to crochet, to sew, to knit, to cook, to clean, all that stuff. So we did a lot of projects as I was growing up, learning how to, you know, doing crocheting, doing knitting. I prefer crocheting over knitting. Sewing, doing sewing projects, stuff like that. So creative in that regard. And then my father started off as a cabinet maker, and then he built custom homes. And there is a whole creative side from him as well. So I really think that I get some creativity from both of them. But it wasn't until just before my 50th birthday that, you know, a couple of years before my 50th, I was making cards for friends and family, and I was stamping them and making them perfect, lining them up, redoing it. I would spend hours making a card. And then I stumbled across mixed media on the internet, and I still remember that, you know, falling in love moment. I was like, oh my God, this is what I need to be doing. This is what I want, because by stamping something imperfectly, it made it perfect. And that's where my passion is. That's where my love is. So, all right. Let's go on to the next one. Do you also use heavy body acrylics? Yes, I do. I don't have any right here because they're in my other studio, but I'm trying to use up the ones that I bought years ago. You can use heavy body, you can use fluid acrylics, you can use high flow acrylics. I say give everything a try and see what you like best. What I found that I like best is I like using acrylic paints best. All right, next question is, and that leads me into, what's your favorite acrylics color brand that I work with? That was from Walter. And then also, oh, and he was asking me about the heavy body acrylics. So, okay, so I do love my Nova Color paints. They are a Southern California company, and they are open right now. So I had to email them because a lot of people were saying they were closed, and I saw that they had written that they were closed, but the truth is, and I don't know if they removed that. They said they were probably gonna remove it. They're shipping if you order $40 or more, then they're shipping those. So they do have a small staff on hand that is doing the work. So back to Nova Color. Love Nova Color. Here's the small 4-ounce size. These are great for when I'm traveling. These last me forever. I've got a whole set of them in Croatia that I leave there, and they're lasting me quite a bit. So what I love about them is the color The pigmentation is superb. I also love their gesso. I've been using their gesso, which is great. You'll see the gesso in a Liquitex bottle because I used to use Liquitex, but now I pour my gesso in there because the gesso, let me see if I can get, I've got one here. I order the large one like this, and it's really hard to pour that out when I'm painting. So I stick it into the squeezable tube or into a smaller one like this when I'm working small. So the other thing I love about Nova is their price. Now, why is that? You know, you don't want to go really cheap, right? But Nova's prices are awesome. The quality of the paint is awesome. You really have to try it for yourself. And I know a lot of people who have tried it totally agree with me that they absolutely love it. Now, why is that important to me? Because when I'm creating, I don't want to put out a little bit of paint because I've used golden. I've used golden paint, and I always had this fear, oh my God, this cost me $30 for this little bottle. I'm only going to put out a little bit, and I'm only going to use a little bit. And so that's the way my brain works. Now, not everybody's that way, but that's how I am. So therefore, when I work with Nova, I put out, and I'm sure you guys have seen in my YouTube videos, I just pour out my gesso, I put out a whole bunch of paint, and I don't worry about it because it's very affordable, and it allows me to stop thinking about what did I just, how much money did I spend on that paint, and it allows me to be creative, which is so important to me. So, and paint is part of my tools. If I don't have paint, I'm not going to be able to create anything. So having that freedom of not worrying about how much paint I put out just allows me to be a lot more freer in my ability to create. So, all right, let's go on to the next one. What was a defining moment of your particular style? And I talked about that early on, being in Croatia and realizing then that I was painting fields of flowers. All right, so Libby says, I want to apply to a gallery. How many pieces do I need? All right, so a lot of you folks probably know I belong to a gallery here in the Santa Clara area. It's in Los Gatos, which is not very far from me. It's about 10-15 minute drive. And what I would recommend for if you're looking for gallery representation is, first of all, you want to scope out the galleries. You want to see, is that a place that your art would fit in? And also, would you feel comfortable working with those people? Would you feel comfortable having them represent your art? I think that's really important. And then when you are ready to present your work, it is important that you have a number of pieces that show your style, so that there's some consistency. So anywhere from 10 to 15 pieces is ideal in a variety of different sizes, so that the gallery person will be able to kind of get a feel for your work in different sizes, and also your body of work, your style. So, so hopefully that answers your question, Libby. All right. When did you become an artist? I think I kind of talked about that. So somewhere right around when I turned 50, but I didn't call myself an artist for years. For many years later, I finally felt comfortable enough to be able to call myself an artist. Why did you become an artist? Those were questions. First one was from Jennifer. This one's from Rebecca. Why did I become a painter? So that's a good question. Why did I become a painter? I think I kind of stumbled upon it. It's not something that I was seeking out. Like I said, I started with, making these cards on the weekends, to doing kind of this mixed media work, and then doing these whimsical paintings. I just enjoyed it. I really loved that time that I spent creating. It felt really good to me. It was, corporate America is a very high-stress place, and I needed kind of that escape, and I really enjoyed being able to have my own time and just get out of everything else and into a different place. All right, so next question. Let me see. I'm going to check the time. Give me a second here. All right. Oh, good. We're doing great on time. All right. So next question is, I also would like to know your path to art. Did you take classes? So yes, I've taken classes from artists who I really enjoyed. So for example, I've taken classes with Nancy Hillis, who's here in Santa Cruz. Her workshop, her online workshop, was kind of a game changer for me, because it really finally gave me the ability to loosen up with my mark making and to accept my mark making and love my mark making, because I was really hung up on that in the beginning. Another person that I've taken in-person and online workshops with is Jane Davies. She's up back on the East Coast, and I mean, to this day, I can watch her for hours. She talks through her processes. Check her out on YouTube. She's got a ton of videos out there. If you get a chance to take a class with her, go for it. She does online, like I said, and also in person. So those two, Robert Burridge is another person that I've taken a workshop with that I really enjoyed and learned a lot. So look for artists that you really love, and find out if they're teaching, and take, you know, right now it looks like we're only doing online workshops, but take an online workshop, check it out. And for each one, you know, I didn't want to paint like them, but you end up kind of painting like them in the beginning. But then I eventually was able to just extract from each one of those classes or those workshops something that I can take and incorporate into my painting. So for me, oftentimes it's mark making, or it's the learning of values, or the learning of composition, balance. So I learned a little bit from each one, and really, to me, if I can go to a workshop and take one thing away from it to incorporate into my work, I find that to be a successful workshop for me. All right, so next question, colors. Let's see, Sadie Lovelily says, why do I get halfway through each painting and get stuck on colors? All right, so I don't know, Sadie. Okay, so a good thing, if you're getting stuck on colors, because there are so many to pick from, right? And if you look at my work, I put all the colors in there because I love color. And so I have a hard time kind of scaling back. But if you're having a hard time figuring out where to go with your colors, think in terms of warm colors and cool colors. So your warm colors being your yellow, red, pink, orange, and then cool colors, blues, greens, purples. So what I'll tend to do is I'll keep rotating. So maybe I'll start with warm, then I'll go to cool, then I'll go back to warm, and then on my final layer, I determine, do I want it to be mostly warm or mostly cool? So for example, this one here, mostly cool colors, mostly the blues in this one. This one's not quite done yet. Let's see, what else do I have here? That's just a start, but that's an example. So I started this one with cool colors, just making a whole bunch of marks on it. This one's almost done. I'm not sure which way it goes. So again, you can see that I did warm colors on the earlier layers, and then I'm kind of finishing it off with cool colors. And then this one here is mostly warm colors. Let's turn it around. This one's almost done. I'm trying to finalize it, but you can see some green popping through. Let me see. You can't quite see it, but there's some blues in there. So that will tell you that my earlier layers had the cool colors on them. So that's an example of going back and forth. And then, so if you're getting stuck because you've got too many color choices, just go back to either pick warm or pick cool and go with that theme, but leaving some of the other colors to show through, to just give a little bit of accent colors for you. All right, so next question, and this from Stevie. it kind of ties into what I just talked about. It says, do you start with cool colors or warm colors first more often? And is the color grouping you start with usually the one you finish with? So that's a good question. So, I mean, here's an example of some starts. These are 5x7s, and here I've got warm colors mostly, and I've got the blues are actually from my woodies that I used. So my mark making is some of the blues. But so here's an example where I'm starting with warm. I'm going to switch to cool colors, and then I'll probably switch back to warm. And then at that point, I'm going to decide, do I continue with warm colors, or am I going to finish that off with some cool colors? So I don't have like a process where I, you know, when I start, I don't really know. It's a mood thing. What am I in the mood for today? Am I in the mood for warm colors to start with, or am I in the mood for cool colors? It just switches each day. There is no rhyme or rhythm to it for me. All right, and then let's see, I've got, what canvases do you use? So there was a company here that was, oh my goodness, I'm going to forget the name of them. They closed their doors, and I used to get a lot of my canvases there. And then when they went out of business, I bought up a whole bunch of them, and they are all actually, the large ones are all in my studio in downtown San Jose, so I don't have one to show you here. But, you know, the important thing, and my really large canvases, the 60x60, if you've watched those YouTube videos, those are from Blick. I think the important thing is get a good quality canvas that you're pleased with. I don't like to go super cheap, but at the same time, I don't go at the very far end of the most expensive. I've tried some, and to me, I didn't see a huge difference in the quality of my painting overall. So kind of middle of the road on my canvases. But I also get canvases from Michaels. When they have a sale, I will get their highest quality canvas that they have on sale. So that works too. All right, and then the last question here from Ashley is, will you do a tutorial on YouTube or Facebook Live? So I have a lot of videos on YouTube, so check out YouTube, and I've got videos where I'm working on paper, and I'm also have videos where I'm working on large canvases, so kind of a combination of those two. I would love to do Facebook Live, and if you were here at the very beginning, I was trying to get it set up. I brought in my laptop. I was trying to do both of them at the same time, but I couldn't get it to work, so I need to figure out why that wasn't working for me. But I would like to get onto Facebook Live. I have never done that before, so that'll be fun. Okay, so let me do this. Let me flip through here now, and let me see if I can answer some more questions. I really appreciate you guys being here. Let's see, I'm going to go backwards here. So, Lisa, thank you for your comment. Appreciate it. Let's see, Berlin, thank you for being here. All right. We've got... Okay, please show step-by-step work sometimes. Okay, so best place to see my step-by-step work is actually on my YouTube channel, and I'm also working, so this year I thought it would be such a cool year to travel and do a bunch of workshops across the United States. And then the virus came to America, and that's kind of, I've already pushed out I had a workshop at the end of March in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That got pushed out to October. I have another one coming up in Colorado at the end of June. And I am keeping my fingers crossed, praying that we're able to keep that workshop. But I'm not feeling super confident about America getting back to normal. So I am creating a online workshop so that you know, if you can't come to one of my in-person workshops, you can do this online. So that's something that I started doing an outline for, and I'm slowly starting to put that together. So look for that soon. And if you want to get best pricing on that, please sign up for my email list. If you go to my profile, my bio, there's a Linktree link there, and that'll get you to where you can sign up for my email list. I give everyone on my email list the best pricing before it goes public to everybody else at a higher price. All right, so let's see. All right, how do I handle framing, Debbie asks. Okay, so when I used to do art shows and art festivals, I used to do the framing. I would do the framing myself. I purchased framing online, or I would go to Michael's, or I would go to this other store that I can't seem to remember the name of it now, and I would purchase the framing myself and do that myself. I'm very much a hands-on, do-it-yourself kind of gal. I have flipped homes before. One of them I did on my own. I'd say 95% on my own. So I'm very much hands-on, love to do things, and so I do a lot of my own. I buy matting myself, mat boards. Matboardandmore.com is where I get my matting, and I love their prices, and they do everything all together, so you can order the size of your matting, order the backer board, and the plastic cello sleeve that it goes into. So I love that it's all in one. All right, next, what are your 6 or so must-have colors from Nova? Wow, okay, 6. 1, phthalo turquoise, definitely love phthalo turquoise. Cadmium red medium, that's a definite. Cadmium yellow medium, that's a definite. So that's 3. I would say the others would be, oh, quinacridone red. Oh my goodness, mix this with white, with gesso. I like to use gesso as my white. It is the absolute most gorgeous pink color. So that's definitely a favorite. Oh, Indian yellow. Got my large jar here, and I've got even larger. I don't have my other large jars, but this one is the pint. I also order the quart size. Indian yellow is an absolutely gorgeous yellow, and personally I prefer it over the golden yellow. This one is brighter and happier. It's a happier yellow. So that's 5, and let me pick one more. I'm gonna go with, oh my goodness, that's gonna be hard. I've got all these little jars over here. All right, I'm gonna go with yellow green. Personally, I don't like this yellow green out of the jar directly, but when I mix it with yellow or with blue, did I pick any blues? Oh, I didn't pick a blue. I should pick a blue. Phthalo blue. Let's go with phthalo blue. All right, we're gonna do 7. So those are all my favorite. Really, I've got a bunch more here. I know you can't really see where I'm at, but you know, another great one, blue green. Payne's gray is fabulous. What I would suggest that you do is pick out your favorite colors if you want to give Nova a try. Pick out your favorite colors and just get the 4-ounce jars and test them out. So that's what I did in the beginning. I bought 4-ounce, and the ones that I loved, I started buying larger and larger. And if you order from them, they don't have an influencer program, but if you just put in the notes that I sent you, I would really appreciate that. All right, so let's go through. Okay, Nova Paint is not to get in Denmark. No, I'm sorry, but they don't ship overseas. So it's they will only ship, and I think they might ship to Canada, but your pricing is going to be pretty high on the shipping part of it. Okay. Okay, so Robin says, just got my paints and mediums from Nova Color a couple of days ago. Love their paints and gesso and mediums. Excellent. I haven't tried their mediums, but I love their gesso. Hi, Pat. I see you're on here. Hey, you guys, if you don't follow Pat Batinsky, you've got to follow her, and she's going to be, we're going to be live in a couple of weeks together, so you guys are going to have to check that out. All right, so let me see if there's any other questions. Okay. Art by City says, please save this video. I can't save the video because my camera, my phone is messed up, and I can't put anything more on it, but I am recording it separately on my camcorder. All right, let's see. Okay. How long did you paint before you sold your first piece of art? Oh, Jan, good question. You know, when I was doing my mixed media pieces, believe it or not, I belonged to a few groups on Facebook, and I actually sold, you know, some of my smaller pieces. So I don't think I started selling consistently until about 3 years ago. So, you know, after several years creating different types of art. You know, I did sell a lot of my other art that I created, you know, my whimsical stuff. I would say a lot of that had sold. Some of them were paint overs, just like today I still do paint overs. But it took a number of years before I started seeing sales on a consistent basis. But that had a lot to do with a couple of things. One is finding a style. Finally figuring out my style and being consistent so that when people came to my Instagram page or my Facebook page, they were always seeing the same thing, and they loved that. So that's why they kept coming back. So, and I tell this to folks who are figuring out their style, or if you've got a few different styles that you paint from, or create, is if you're posting all of those different styles. So if one day you're posting abstract, and then the next day you're posting figurative, and then the third day you're posting something whimsical, what's going to happen is your followers are going to say, oh, I love abstract, and then you're going to post this figurative, or you're going to post something that is whimsical, and they're going to say, oh, I'm confused. I thought this was abstract. I'm not going to follow them anymore because this is not what I wanted to see. So keep that in mind when you're posting, that you're going to pick up more people who want to follow you because you're being consistent. You are consistently showing up each day with the same type of style of work. So that was important, and then also the posting regularly, marketing myself on a regular basis was really important as well, to get me to be selling on a regular basis. All right, okay, let's see. We had somebody who had trouble joining. Okay. I love that Joy says, I'm creating while listening to you right now. That's perfect. You can listen to me talk and create. All right, somebody wrote something in Spanish and I can't read it. I don't understand it. Let's see. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. Let's see, I still got a little ways to go. Thank you all for your sweet comments. Somebody was walking the dog and listening to me. Perfect. I like to listen to podcasts when I'm walking also. Let's see. All right. And lots of location. Okay, I'm hoping that I got everybody. It looks like this is the beginning now. So let me go back down to the bottom. Oh, whoops. Accidentally going to post something. All right, and I'm going to check the time real quick. Okay, so Shelly says, love you back, Shelly. Brush choices. Okay, so brush choices for me is, I don't have all of them here because some of them are in my studio downtown, but I do have a few here. So these are really well worn. You can tell there isn't much left here. These are inexpensive. Artist Loft. This is an Artist Loft brush, and I love the long handles. These I get at Michael's. Usually they come in a whole package, so those are great. I like these shorter ones also, a little bit of a bigger, this is probably like a 10 flat brush. I love my smaller ones when I'm working, wow, look at that powder coming out of that. When I'm working on paper, I like using the smaller ones. So here's an example. Yesterday I was working, look how small these are, if you can see those. So a variety of different tools. I've got some larger ones over here as well. But definitely, oh, let's grab one more here, which is my rigger, which is great. This is a script brush so that I can make some fine circles and lines But these are small. This is probably a 2, 4. I can't see because there's so much paint on them. But I like the inexpensive ones. You know, at most I might spend up to $10 for a large one that's a better quality. And I don't have any here. Like I said, they're in my downtown San Jose studio where I work large. But, you know, purchase a variety of different ones and see which ones you like best. I buy the inexpensive ones because I really beat up my brushes. As you can tell, I mean, look at, they're not looking so perfect because I scrunch down when I'm painting. I'm always pressing down hard. So, you know, again, I just try different things to figure out what works. All right, let me do one thing. Let me check the time. Okay, so we're at 12:52, so we've only got a few more minutes. So let me see if there's any other questions. What do you use to seal? All right, so I like to use, first of all, I do 2 things. One is, and I'm looking around to see if I have anything. Oh, good, I do have my workable fixative here. So I like to use workable fixative. And if you go to YouTube, you'll find a section that is called non-painting. And I talk about sealing art on paper, but I use the same process for canvas and wood. So workable fixative I like to use, or a spray varnish, so that my mark making doesn't move around when I put on a liquid varnish. So this will hold all of my mark making in place. And then for my varnish, I love to use Liquitex. So, and I know a lot of people don't know which finish they should use because it comes in a matte, satin, and gloss, or a high gloss. And this one here is a satin. When I first started out, I used to use satin a lot, which is, you know, it's not too shiny like a high gloss. I like to use the gloss on my small pieces because they're small pieces, and when I put gloss on them, they really pop a lot more. But that being said, some of my larger pieces get gloss on them too because I feel that they are deserving of gloss to make them stand out even more. Lately though, I'd say in the past 6 months to almost a year, I've been doing a lot more matte. Matte finish protects it, but there's no sheen on it whatsoever, so there's no gloss on it, so that when you're looking at it and the sun's hitting it, you can still see the painting without any of the reflection popping back at you. So, you know, try them all and figure out which ones you like best. The ones that I just delivered to the art gallery I belong to, Jayco's, is I did them all in a flat finish or a matte finish, just because I felt like that's what they needed. So I kind of switch them up and kind of go back and forth. All right, let's see. Are you doing sketching? No. And I think what you mean is, do I sketch before I paint? I'm hoping that's what you're talking about. Or do I just sketch, you know, in a sketchbook, just kind of practicing? I don't do any of those. I do doodling, which is drawing flowers and leaves, but it's very precise. All right, my video just paused again. Sorry about that. I don't know why I'm having connection issues. So when I'm creating, I don't have anything in mind. I just start creating and I see where it takes me. Okay, so we're coming to the end here, and I know I'm going to get taken off of here. So why don't we go ahead and wrap it up? And I want to thank all of you guys for being here today. I'm just kind of quickly going through here. I wish I had time to answer some more questions. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for following me. And again, if you want to get on my email list, I don't send emails out all that often, but when I do, you're going to get your best pricing from me and stories and other. Sometimes I sell only to my email list. So if you're looking for the smaller pieces from me, you want to get on my email list because I like to send them out to them first. All right, you guys, have a fabulous weekend wherever you are in this world, and I hope that you find a way to stay creative, stay sane, and be happy. All right, see you guys. Bye.